Hello, this is Carter once again giving you a video essay breakdown of section 2 of book 5 of the Bella Gallicum and the book 6 and book 7. So let's hop into that. Um, right off the bat, some key events in book 5, section 2, which includes chapters 38 through 48. Are Ambiorix's victory and mobilization, the attack on Cicero's camp, Roman defense efforts. Siege intensifies as the Nervi set fire to the Roman camp with heated projectiles. But as always, the Romans maintain their defense and show exceptional bravery. There's heroic feats, including Pulo, sorry, typo, and Varenus, demonstrating courage and rivalry, saving each other during fighting. Caesar's response, when he hears about the siege, he mobilizes nearby legions and cavalry for a rapid raid to aid Cicero. Relief and reinforcements. As Caesar approaches, he brings hope to Cicero's camp and advocates against enemy interception. So, some contextualization in the broader motives of Caesar during the Gallic Wars, specific to Book 5, Section 2. So, some strategic objectives. Caesar's broader strategy of maintaining control over Gaul is evident in his response to threats and reinforcing his legions very rapidly, and it underscores his emphasis on rapid mobilization and strategic communication. Propaganda and morale. This overall narrative highlights the valor and resilience of Roman soldiers, boosting the morale and justifying Roman actions in Gaul. Political implications. Caesar's relentless pursuit of victory and his abilities to rally and coordinate his forces demonstrate his leadership qualities, bolstering his political position in Rome. So some literary features include vivid descriptions, so vivid imagery to describe the intensity of the siege and the heroism of the soldiers, engaging the reader in dramatic events. Characterization. Characters like Cicero, Pulo, and Varenus are given depth through their actions and interactions, making the narrative more relatable and compelling. And the use of direct speech. The inclusion of speeches such as Ambiorix's persuasive talk and Cicero's reply adds a dynamic element to the narrative, revealing the motives and sentiments of the characters directly. And there's as well detailed military tactics that I don't really want to totally explain. You'll just have to do the reading to find out, but it's very vivid description of Roman military engineering and tactics, highlighting how advanced and methodical Roman warfare was. So, arguments presented in the text. Roman superiority. It once again argues for superiority of Roman discipline over all others and their capabilities with engineering and leadership over their adversaries. Heroic ideal. It gives basically not, what's a good word? It gives a inspiration as sort of a propaganda tool for Romans to look up to as they see their great leader and soldiers doing all this stuff and how great they are. It serves to inspire Roman people to indulge in this heroic nature and aspect of that Caesar's portraying in his writing here. And so Book 5, Section 2 is really just a detailed account of a critical period of the Gallic Wars and illustrates some major challenges faced by Roman forces and the effective leadership of Caesar. Moving on to Book 6. It begins with an ambush on Caesar's troops by the Nervi, however you want to say it. I won't test you on that. So Caesar hears the commotion, takes charge, and orders have been sent out, signal will be given. He personally rallies his troops, offering encouragement and commanding them. It also serves to paint him as a good leader, leading from within his people. Displays notable leadership, moving among his men, calling them by name and urging them to fight valiantly. Um, Super dramatic, intense battle, heavy fighting, both sides suffering significant losses. Caesar personally joins the fray, leading from the front, just once again, serving as that model leader, that mode of propaganda for troops and people back in Rome to look up to as their great fearless leader. Does this. So a bit of analysis, Caesar's motives. So strategic control, Caesar's engagement with the Nervi is part of his broader strategy to secure Roman control over Gaul, defeating one of the more formidable Gallic tribes, the Nervi. Caesar aims to dismantle any potential coalition against Rome. This demonstrates his power, obviously showcasing the Roman military superiority and Caesar's leadership ability, and Caesar's personal glory that he derives from this moment as his leadership and involvement are emphasized. A couple literary features include vivid descriptions of intensity of the battle and Caesar's leadership with the adjectives of the battle. Direct speech, Caesar orders and encourages his troops personally, and it adds intimacy and drama to the narrative, once again serving the broader purpose of serving as propaganda. Some arguments about the text include that Caesar is a very strong leader, and that, arguments that the text conveys. Caesar is a strong leader, as always, Roman military discipline, as always, and historical propaganda, as always. All very safe answers to respond to, especially having taken the AP test already. It's just good to know these overarching points, and I think that's really what they want you to know, less than just knowing the whole text word for word, but being able to understand what's going on. Even if you don't know what's being said explicitly, being in the know about what's going on will help you a lot more on the test. It's yet again a critical moment in the Gallic Wars and reflects challenges faced by Romans during their campaigns. Furthermore, Gaul exhibits power over. Furthermore, Gauls historically excelled in their power over Germans, and there's certain settlers there that maintain justice and military merit, resembling Germans in like scarcity and hardiness. Gauls, given their proximity to Roman provinces, gain luxury and civilization, but are bested by the Germans in their prowess. It's more the second section of book 6 takes a less warfare description. It's more describing, so it talks a lot about the agricultural scene and their environment around them in Gaul and German areas, and then it starts to drift more into strategy and eventually more war, as Caesar makes note of certain things, dismantling the bridge over the Rhine, then refortifying it and defending it. For part 2 of book 6, it's Caesar's campaigns against the Gauls and Germans serve as broader goal of solidifying Roman dominance and expanding their territory. So, world domination. Literary features, again, vivid descriptions and detailed recounting of military tactics and actions, yet again emphasizing the discipline and the valor attributed to Romans and Roman soldiers. And again, the use of direct speech and specific names adds to the narrative's authenticity. Some arguments that can be made is that Caesar justifies the Gallic Wars as necessary for Roman security, given the proximity to Roman-controlled provinces, and the portrayal of Gauls and Germans switches between admiration and justification for their subjugation. Overall, Book 6 describes his campaigns, strategic maneuvers, and interactions with these tribes and peoples, and it describes challenges that Caesar faced during this time and the significance of his intelligence and capability as a leader. Uh, More propaganda as to why he's just this perfect, awesome leader, and everybody loves him, and it serves as propaganda for why there's a need for discipline and justice and things to be done and due process and have all this structure to them. Now let's move on to book 7. Gaul, initially calm, but Clodius's death and a decree requiring Italian youth to take the military oath uh, starts a stir. The Carnutes attack. The Vercingetorix emerges as a charismatic leader among the Arverni and gains control of several tribes, becoming the supreme commander of the Gauls. Caesar faces challenges as he tries to reach his army in Gaul, but he eventually succeeds. Vercingetorix employs somewhat like guerrilla tactics, burning villages and cutting off Roman supply lines, which is a very smart decision, warfare tactics that we often see used even today. Even presenting all these issues, Caesar still triumphs in the end, which makes you pause and consider, why is Caesar focusing so much on how hard it was? Well, the deeper answer is really that, oh, he's going to boast about how difficult it was because in the end he overcomes it. So it paints him as this real hardy, tough, amazing leader. uh, Continuation of just trying to maintain control over areas and capture new territory, gaining wealth and prestige for himself, Caesar, and secure political power in Rome. Some literary features include historical narratives, vivid descriptions, and strategic planning, showing Caesar's tactical brilliance, and once again, this whole idea of propaganda. So, honestly, while he did write it for the purpose of propaganda, which is not up for debate, his text, especially in book 7 and book 6 and the end of book 5, displays some real valuable characteristics, valuable nonetheless, given propaganda or not, for soldiers and what's needed to come together and unify, because underscored in all these sections is how well the whole Roman army works together when they're unified with discipline and with this valor idea. They work really well together, and I think that those are valuable concepts that we can still take today when not even looking at life through the context of war, but also as students. Just that disciplined students work better, and there's qualities that we can admire from here, even if they're exaggerated for the sake of propaganda. Key events: Caesar faces difficulties crossing certain rivers. He divides his forces. He intervenes in Aedui's eternal strife, and stabilizes a ton of different situations to replenish his forces. Vercingetorix strengthens as a leader, and Gauls try to unify against Caesar, but Caesar swiftly quells the rebellion by marching to them to Gergovia, and then he faces many dire situations, but in the end he triumphs. His triumph, though, is by exploiting a vulnerable position of Vercingetorix's forces in or around Gergovia, and this just it goes to show that he's not only strong, but he's also extremely intelligent, and knows how to use his troops and everything at his disposal in order to gain the upper hand. So some contextualization and key events, or some contextualization and literary features include depicting Caesar's military strategy and the involvement of his soldiers in the Gallic War, Caesar employing deception, strategic maneuvers, and quick decision making to overcome Gaul resistance and maintain control over the region. Text showcases Caesar's tactical brilliance and the challenges faced by Roman and Gaulish forces. It includes elements of suspense, dramatic encounters, and characterizations of key features like Caesar, or characterizations of key figures like Caesar, Vercingetorix, mouthful, and Labienus. Some arguments that can be derived from this is that Caesar's ability to adapt to changing circumstances and maintain loyalty of his troop are crucial factors in his success in Gaul. Additionally, everything just highlights the complexities of the Roman-Gaulish relations and the internal conflicts within Gaulish tribes. These units provide, or not units, books provide insight into the fluid nature of this ancient warfare and strategic thinking of military leaders like Caesar and Labienus. They illustrate the tactical challenges faced by both sides and the political issues that influenced the course of the Gallic Wars. And so to wrap things up, having taken the AP test, one of my sections on the test was from book 6, specifically with the Pulo Varenus section. And while I was lost initially looking at it, it was actually the essay section too. My knowledge and understanding of the broader importance of Caesar's writing helped me to work through it. And I think at the minimum, this getting a better understanding of what's going on will help you, of course, read and do the translations, but on your own, I think watching YouTube videos about specific books or chapters would be helpful. I think putting a visual to what's going on, especially since it's in Latin that it's initially presented to you. I think getting a visual assigned to these books and these chapters would be helpful so that you can really understand it. You can see what's going on. So any YouTube video that is credible and shows maybe an animation of the action happening would be helpful. At least in hindsight, that's what I wish I did instead of watching all the AP daily videos I watched. I wish I would have just looked for one-off YouTube videos that really dug deep and explored things, but also showed examples of what was happening, because I think that would have clicked with me better. But overall, that's Unit 7, the end of Book 5, and all of Book 6, and all of Book 7 of Caesar's writing. Thank you.